Ray Solano, welcome to the Tick Bootcamp podcast.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm really excited to have you, at least a fellow New Yorker by birth.
That's right.
So give us some information about your background. Where do you come from? What's your educational background? And what kind of work are you doing now?
Well, we're a specialty compounding pharmacy here in Austin, Texas, or in Texas, that we service the patients nationwide. And we specialize, people don't understand what compounding pharmacy is. It's personalized medications that are special dosage forms that people can't normally find, drugs that are unavailable, it's a very highly regulated industry. And we are in every three-letter agency in the country is over us. But it's a really important trade or profession, because we do this. Many of these pharmaceuticals are just the wrong dosage form. They're difficult to give to patients, and especially for the tick and for the Lyme and the mold community, just unavailable.
Right.
And so and our job is to use our research, as I've been a pharmacist since the early 70s, to use our intuition and profession, how to change molecules, move pharmaceuticals around so the cells can actually get into the cell, and that's most important.
Okay, so you started talking about what's music to my ears and music to the ears of the folks in the Tick Bootcamp community, which is individualized medication.
Yes.
Individualized medicine. So talk to us about how we get from a person who is a bio-individual with a unique microbiome, unique genetic structure, and unique microbes that were spit into their system by either one or multiple vectors over the course of their lives before they become chronically ill. How do you bring that all together so you have a specialized formula for me if I were suffering from a tick disease?
And so we look at these, we try to put these conditions together so they're manageable.
Okay.
And so we find some similarities before all these chronic conditions. And these chronic inflammatory conditions have many similarities, that the conditions are similar. And many times there's genetic dysfunctions that make these people more susceptible to them. So we try to understand, when we do this, we realize that certain channels of the people are dysfunctional or broken, or the elimination channels. And so when we do this, we personalize the medication, whatever the pharmaceutical is, we realize that the dosage has to be changed.
Okay.
We may realize that it has to be a oral medication, but it has to be enteric coated in a special capsule that it gets absorbed in the lumen in the small intestine. So we make these modifications that we know, because we understand that person, they're not going to absorb it. And so unfortunately, pharmaceutical manufacturers have things that they're made for perfect people.
Right. And of course, the research is being done based on the bell-shaped curve, right?
Yes.
And we're in a community of outliers,
That's
right? And that's why general medications are not going to work, because if you were in the center of the bell-shaped curve, then you probably wouldn't be sick, right?
That's right. You wouldn't be sick. And then the biggest thing is side effects. Okay, so they've taken, many of these antibiotics have tremendous side effects: gastric distress, and nausea, or just not tolerable. So compliance, if people don't take these medications that we know that are effective for Babesia or whatever the indications is, they're just not going to work. So our job is to get the right dosage that are compliant, and also be able to have it so that it gets absorbed to those receptors. So that's what our science and our focus on.
Let's break that down, because you gave us a lot of pieces to this, right? So one element is proper dosage.
Proper dosage, right? That's right.
Another element of this is going to be the medium that you're going to utilize to transmit it. Is this going to be a pill form? Is it going to be
tablet form?
Tablet form? Is it going to be IV? Or
Correct.
And then of course, then you shared with us that there's even more specific breakdown. If it is going to be a pill or a tablet, is that going to be coated with a particular substance so that it will be absorbed in one part of the body as opposed to the other part of the body? I mean, the fermentation seems to be...
And then it gets even more complicated from that. Then we take the molecule of the drug and we change its particle size, okay? And then we mix it with a delivery vehicle, sometimes say a phospholipid, that allows this lipid layer or a micelle so that the body can absorb it. And that was even before you put it into the capsule.
Okay.
So you can see we get multiple layers of ingenuity and innovation.
And the permutations seem to be...
And then on top of it, there's one other thing. It has to be affordable.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. So how do you do this so that it is affordable?
Well, I think it's important to realize up front, it was the most important, can you get the pharmaceutical? It has to be, we're a very regulated industry. It has to be from an FDA registered manufacturer, period, end of story. And many times, if it's only available in huge 100 kilotons, and unfortunately, there's no way to make one capsule out of it.
Right.
So you got to be able to do a little bit of business sense that, this is not going to work because it's going to be unaffordable. Nobody's going to pay $10,000 for a capsule. So you got to be able to maybe look for alternatives, maybe look for cousins of that drug, or use your pharmacology knowledge of what is similar, and maybe we can modify it, things like that. So you got to be able to, it starts with the patient. Tell me about the patient, and then be able to work backwards from there.
So help me with that. So where are you getting the data from to create this personalized product? Is this from a doctor? Is it from tests that you're recommending that they utilize to give you that data? I mean, how does that all come together before you ultimately build this personalized medication?
Many of the medications are old. They've been on the market for a long time.
Patents have run out?
So they're generic, their safety data is there. It has to be safe, okay? And then the pharmaceutical properties of that is open book. Everybody knows those properties because they've been on the market for years, and so we understand its solubility, so its chemistry is already known. So once you understand that, then you'll be able to use your different tools as a pharmacist to be able to make it a delivery method that's stable, okay? It's got to be stable. It's got to, and then maybe it's palatable, or is it something that if the pill is this big, you're not going to be able to swallow it. You have to use some common sense.
Right.
And pharmacists have that unique ability to work with a physician, and the physician comes and says, this compound works well for this bacteria. Can you figure out what we can do with it? So that's been going on for thousands of years or hundreds of years, this partnership. And that's what we do, is we come up with the solutions based upon an idea.
Okay, so now are you working with patient by patient, or are you working with practitioners who are making observations that are generalized to people in the Lyme community and providing?
A little bit of both. Patient by patient to get some data and feedback. Practitioners like that are here, and also literature that's been published. And then be able to work with them, and we don't do time for clinical trials for 5 years. So you have some anecdotal information, a patient-by-patient basis. So you can see how patients are doing. And so you can get kind of your own bell curve, what works and what doesn't work.
Right, so you're building a new curve around the outliers from the traditional curve, and now you have your new curve. Okay. So let's now we're at the ILADS conference, right? So let's talk about Lyme disease and the type of observations you've been able to make about specialized or individualized medications for folks who have the broad spectrum of microbes that we define as Lyme disease.
Well, what we find is that we're always looking at new therapeutics, whether it be natural herbal botanicals that have anti-parasitic properties, antibacterial properties, because that's all we had before pharmaceuticals.
Right.
And then also pharmaceuticals that are reinvented, like methylene blue was the first antiparasitic for malaria.
Right.
Okay, that's how chloroquine came, and that's how hydroxychloroquine came.
Right.
All came from that molecule.
Right.
So we look at that methylene blue molecule and go, wow, well, what can we do with this? And what dosage form is it? How do we...
And that would be for babesia?
Babesia, and make it as antiparasitic. And then we look at a dosage form that's unique, borrow some pages out of pharmaceutical, making it as a special lithosphere, so that gets into the cell. So, these cell walls, a little bit of biology, many of these tick-borne illnesses, these infections have tremendous cell walls that can't get into. So breaking it into so that it absorbs and gets the vectors into those cells, that's tough. So we got to be able to trick the cells to take it in. So that's the little things that we've learned. And it could be from another technology. And that's what we do here, is come up with an idea. Okay, that's what we realize. And by the way, in a short period of time, we can come up with a therapeutic that works.
That's cool. That is really cool. So how would folks who are in the community that we serve, how would they work with your lab? Would they be able to work with your lab individually, or do they have to contact their physicians to get in touch with your lab?
Well, our regulations require everything we do has to be by prescription.
Okay.
Okay, so we have our own telemedicine group in-house that we work with that would make it easier, because it's not enough practitioners to help everybody, or work with a local practitioner and connect with them to come up with a therapeutic protocol. And then we, by prescription, make those individual pharmaceuticals available to them, and we mail it to them. We make it easy.
Okay. Right.
And sometimes there's things that may not be available, but you know what? There's few and far between.
Okay. So is there a website that folks can go to, or is there some other way that they can get in contact
Well,
with you?
our website is pdlabsrx.com. That's pdlabsrx.com. Has a wealth of educational information, so our own podcast as well, and some of our TV spots and some of our interviews with other practitioners, and has a listing of all of our services. We make it easy, and guess what? We actually still answer the phone.
All right. Well, that's great. It was wonderful meeting you.
And meeting you.
Thank you for doing all the great work that you're doing in the Lyme disease community.
Well, thank you for getting the word out, because there's a lot of people that need a lot of help.
We're blessed to do it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.